Before we get into the video, could everyone please subscribe to my Endless Diary Tales channel? Thank you so much. A week after the divorce, I saw news of Aiden Grant's suicide trending online. The media reported it with a tone of pity, calling him a financial prodigy. They said he had built a fortune worth billions, praising how successful he was at such a young age. But no one knew why he had taken his own life. At that moment, I was on an island vacation celebrating the end of our marriage. The old butler arrived in a hurry, his hair already turned white with age. He told me that Aiden had left clear instructions before his death. He had left all his assets to me. It was a fortune so vast I wouldn't be able to spend it all in 100 lifetimes. I was stunned. To me, Aiden and I were nothing more than a pair bound by a commercial marriage. He had his unattainable first love, and I was carrying the heavy burden of saving my family's company. After we got married, our relationship remained distant and cold. Aiden bought me an outrageously expensive penthouse in the city center, but he never once lived in our so-called marital home. I always thought he hated me, and I quietly hoped our marriage would end soon. But after the papers were signed, the old butler hesitated. He said he wanted to take me somewhere. "Ma'am, the young master really loved you." He said that year of marriage was the happiest time of his life. You know, he had a disability. He always felt inferior, like he didn't deserve you. There were things he couldn't say out loud, but I believe you should know. The place he took me was near my high school. When I opened the door, I saw a massive oil painting hanging on the wall. Me in a wedding dress. Aiden and I had never held a wedding. I had never worn a wedding dress. But on that canvas, I was smiling so happily. Every shimmering detail on the gown was meticulously painted. Each brushstroke a display of devout admiration. At the bottom was Aiden's signature and in smaller handwriting the words, "Hope Emma stays happy forever." The entire apartment, about 1,000 square feet, was filled with traces of me. Photos of me playing piano at the school's anniversary celebration, notebooks with my name on them, a poorly made doll I crafted in a DIY class, and even a group photo. It was from graduation day. I had given a speech as an outstanding student in the auditorium. A younger version of Aiden was among the crowd holding his phone high to snap a photo of me from the audience. In that photo, the handsome teen had his lips pressed together in a shy smile. Later, I debuted as an actress. Every character I'd ever played, every product I'd endorsed, there were signs of it all in that apartment. Every detail in the room screamed that Aiden Grant had deeply, obsessively loved me. But I clearly remembered hearing him once say, "We don't need a wedding. Don't let anyone know I'm married to Emma Carter." His tone back then was sharp and rushed, full of disdain. It was as if marrying me had been a chore he was forced to complete. On the day we registered our marriage, Aiden had sent me the wire transfer. The first thing he said was, "The money's been sent." This marriage had begun because my family desperately needed financial support. I was the weaker party, and I had mentally prepared myself for humiliation, but his words still cut deep. I smiled faintly, keeping my tone calm and distant. "You're very generous, Mr. Grant. Pleasure doing business with you." The memory faded. I put down the oil painting and stood up. Suddenly, the world spun around me. My vision went black and I fainted. When I opened my eyes again, I had been reborn. Loud music from a bar rang in my ears. Before I could even react, someone next to me pulled me into a hug. "Today's a big day. Emma finally divorced that __ from the Grant family," they shouted. Everyone raised their glasses and cheered to the divorce party. "Let's drink till we drop." Divorce party. I went cold all over as reality came crashing back to me. In my past life, I had sent the divorce papers to Aiden Grant, then let my so-called friends throw me a party to celebrate. The next morning, still hungover, I returned home, only to find Aiden, who rarely ever came back, standing in the living room. He was holding the signed divorce papers in his hand. I thought he was just as eager to end it as I was, and even smiled as I told him, "Happy divorce." I completely overlooked how lost and devastated Aiden Grant had looked that day. And then came the news of his death. No. I shook it off and stood up abruptly. Amid the stunned expressions around me, I bolted for the exit. Someone reached out to grab me. "Emma, where are you going?" "Zach's coming soon." "Yeah, I set this whole thing up for you too, trying to match you guys back together. Zach Morgan had been my childhood friend. In our friends' eyes, we were the golden couple that had been unfairly torn apart. But I didn't even turn around. I'm not divorced from Aiden, and I don't plan to be. And stop calling him __. I don't like it. The banquet hall was filled with people mingling and clinking glasses. I tried calling Aiden, but he wouldn't pick up. My forehead was slick with sweat from the panic. Just then, through the partition, I overheard a few people talking. That contract got snatched up by that guy from the Grant family again. The guy's got no wife, no kids. Why the hell is he working so hard? I heard he's married, but no one knows who his wife is. He probably doesn't care about him at all. Come on. What kind of woman would fall for a guy like that? I mean, after that car crash back then, it wasn't just his leg. Word is everything below got wrecked. I clenched my jaws so hard it hurt. Aiden's business tactics were aggressive and effective. These people couldn't beat him in the market, so they gathered in the shadows, full of impotent rage. I stepped forward, just about to confront them when I saw Aiden across the room. Even in the crowd, he stood out. He was wearing a perfectly tailored suit, his jet black hair slicked back, revealing a smooth forehead and sharply defined features. Tall and handsome, he looked like he'd stepped out of a luxury fashion campaign. Aiden had suffered a severe car accident in his youth. His left leg had to be partially amputated, and he now wore a prosthetic. But he moved with such grace and confidence. There wasn't the slightest hint of weakness. Aiden Grant was nearly flawless in every way, which is exactly why these losers, bested by him over and over, were so obsessed with mocking his leg. Useless cowards. Seeing Aiden alive and well, my eyes burned with emotion. I nearly cried. Aiden, I called out, unable to hold back. Every head turned toward me. Whispers started spreading. Isn't that Emma Carter, the actress? No way. Even a guy like him can bag a celebrity these days. Guys like him, no matter how broken, always keep a bunch of women around just to feel like they're still men. But the moment Aiden and I locked eyes, there wasn't a trace of surprise in his expression. Instead, he looked uneasy, quickly turning his body away as if he didn't want to see me at all. I hurried over and naturally slipped my hand around his arm. The instant our skin touched, Aiden froze. When he spoke, his voice was cold and firm. If it's about the divorce, talk to my lawyer. The financial ties between our companies are deep. A divorce lawsuit like this can drag on for years. If I'd heard this before, I would have just assumed Aiden was trying to humiliate me with money. But now I knew he simply didn't want a divorce. My chest tightened. I was about to explain when someone stepped up. Mr. Grant, aren't you going to introduce the lady beside you? It was the host of tonight's event. I knew Aiden was fighting to win a major international contract tonight. And the people here were all competitors waiting for him to slip up. The host and his wife were known for being close and affectionate, and they placed a high value on the stability of their business partners' family lives. To them, a man with a sense of family responsibility was far more trustworthy. I smiled and tightened my grip on Aiden's arm. In fluent French, I introduced myself. I'm his wife. At the banquet, I drank a lot of champagne. People kept coming up to toast me, asking questions about my relationship with Aiden Grant. I didn't get tired of explaining it to everyone. Aiden and I had been married for a year, and we were doing great. You probably didn't know, I said sweetly. Maybe because you're not important enough for me to inform. I made sure to show just how loving we were, especially in front of those men who'd been gossiping earlier. Aiden quietly stayed by my side the whole time. His fair skin had taken on a slight blush, and I caught him sneaking glances at me now and then, but every time I looked back, he quickly shifted his gaze, avoiding eye contact like he was nervous. By the end of the banquet, I was fairly drunk. Knowing Aiden had trouble with his leg, I didn't dare ask him to carry me. Instead, I just clung to him like a koala, refusing to let go. I couldn't help it. The memories from my past life were just too painful. I was terrified that if I took my eyes off him for even a moment, he might do something reckless again. The Maybach rolled smoothly into the garage. This villa was a wedding gift Aiden had bought for me after we got married. Because our relationship had always been tense, he'd never stayed the night here. I sprawled across the couch, drunk and dazed, still clinging tightly to his hand. He crouched beside me, his expression complicated as he studied me. Why are you suddenly being so nice to me? Don't you want a divorce? I was too drunk to really understand what he was saying. I just stared at his lips moving. They were full and soft-looking with a natural pink tint. He had just had some water, and his lips still glistened faintly with moisture. My throat went dry. I couldn't help myself. I grabbed his tie, gave it a tug and licked his lips. Sweet, I want another. Before I could go in for another taste, Aiden panicked and quickly covered my mouth with his hand. His ears, cheeks, and even his neck were turning red. Do you know what you're doing? Nope, I replied, my voice thick with intoxication. All I know is I want something sweet. Seeing that he didn't pull away, I wrapped my arms around his neck and pulled him close. Aiden didn't resist. He just stayed still, waiting for me to kiss him. But just before our lips met, my phone lit up. It was a message from Zach. Weren't you supposed to be celebrating your divorce tonight? Why'd you leave early? I'm trying to get that East River land deal. Can you sneak a look at the cripple's bidding documents for me? If not, maybe just don't finalize the divorce yet. Do it for me. My phone was right on the edge of the sofa, screen still unlocked, and the whole message was right there, clear as day. Aiden's body froze instantly. His eyes turned red in a flash, and he started trembling all over. Everything you did tonight, was it all for him? He asked, voice shaking. You held me, kissed me, told everyone you were my wife. Was all of that just for him? He looked like he was about to break apart. His lashes trembled and his dark eyes were filled with pain. But I was too far gone in my drunken haze to understand any of it. All I could think was how beautiful he looked, eyes glistening with tears. So close, but I couldn't touch him. I let out a frustrated little whimper. Whatever the reason, Aiden said like he'd made a decision. As long as we don't get divorced, you can have whatever you want. My ears were only half functioning at that point. The only part one truly processed was, you can have whatever you want. I want a kiss. I pushed myself up, ready to kiss him again. But Aiden turned away. You don't have to do this, he said. I'll give you the East River development documents right now. What would I want those for? I asked, confused. Before he could answer, my phone rang. It was one of the friends from the party calling. Emma, Zach's here and he even brought you flowers. Come on over. A divorce this big deserves an all-night celebration. Even though I hung up as fast as I could, Aiden had already heard every word. The light in Aiden's eyes slowly faded inch by inch. I'll go make you some hangover soup. Once you finish, I'll have Uncle Gene take you home, he said calmly. I know you were drunk and mistook me for someone else. About the kiss tonight. I know better than to read too much into it. I won't misunderstand. I grabbed his hand. Would you really let me go? Aiden had said it himself. As long as we don't get divorced, anything's fine. In my past life, I had been blind, but Aiden Grant was also a fool who never spoke up. Right in front of him, I deleted that man's contact on WeChat. To be honest, I didn't even have much of a relationship with those people. They were all Zach's friends, not mine. Aiden Grant, I said clearly. You're the one I like. Before we got married, my mom had shown me Aiden's photo. He was so handsome, I agreed on the spot, just to make sure he wasn't a catfished photo. I even secretly drove to his company's headquarters to stake him out. But after we got married, so many misunderstandings piled up. I thought Aiden disliked me, and my pride wouldn't allow me to lower myself, so I pretended not to care about him either. Whatever feelings we might have had at the start were crushed before they could grow. But when I spoke from the heart, Aiden didn't believe me. That's enough, he said. The messages. I saw all of them. He closed his eyes, his long lashes trembling, unable to hide his pain. I know you hate me, but when you lie to me, it still hurts. They say a man's tears are a woman's aphrodisiac. Right now, I felt like I could take on the world. Aiden didn't want to keep talking. He grabbed the black and gold cane next to him and used it to help himself up. Watching him do that just made me angrier. That stupid cane was in the way. I grabbed the front of his shirt with one hand and kicked the cane with the other. My foot connected softly, barely nudging it, but I managed to stub my toe in the process. Ow. My face twisted in pain. You and that stupid stick are ganging up on me, I whined. Now you're trying to kick me out too? What kind of husband does that? Aiden didn't move. I stared him down with all the fury I could muster. Did you hurt yourself? He asked. Let me get you some ointment. I looked down. Not only was there no broken skin, there wasn't even a red mark. I don't care. I huffed, then wrapped my arms around Aiden's neck. Up close, I thought he looked even more perfect. You smell so good. I probably looked like a total creep, snuggling against his chest like some pervy hooligan. I rubbed my cheek against him back and forth. I could feel something pressed against me, getting warmer and not quite normal. And just like that, I fell asleep in his arms. When I woke up the next morning, I was lying in the master bedroom wrapped in a silk robe. Aiden was gone. On the nightstand beside me was a folder and a USB drive. I opened the folder. Right on the front page, East River Development Project bid proposal. My hand trembled. Did Aiden think everything I did last night was just to get my hands on this proposal? Furious, I called him. Picked up almost immediately, but his voice had returned to that cold, distant tone. The gentle, curious Aiden from last night had vanished. I've left what you wanted on the nightstand, he said. You think I want to give that to Zach? I snapped. I don't care about. Do whatever you want with it, he interrupted. Give it to anyone. You just wait. I growled, then hung up. I felt deflated. Aiden didn't believe me at all. But it's fine. His heart already belongs to me. As long as I keep him close, he'll keep looking at me with those watery eyes. Eyes full of yearning and fear of getting hurt. In my past life, I never realized any of this. But now, I still had time to make it right. I quickly got dressed and rushed downstairs. Then I drove straight to Aiden's house. This estate was nestled right beside the city's most iconic scenic area. On the surface, it appeared understated, but every inch of it radiated the untouchable luxury that only great wealth could afford. The old butler, who'd received advance notice of my arrival, was already waiting at the door. He paced back and forth, visibly anxious. I looked at his still jet black hair, and gave him a bright smile. I'm taking Aiden with me, I said. I don't agree, he replied. 2 hours later, Aiden rushed back home to find his things nearly all packed. I didn't even bother looking up. Objection overruled. Then I turned to the butler. This tie. Aiden would look really handsome wearing it. I'm taking it with me. Mr. Xiao took the tie and quickly packed it into a suitcase. Let's head out now. If there's anything else you need later, ma'am, just call me. I'll have it delivered. With that, he wheeled the suitcase out in a hurry, his urgency practically written on his face. He looked like he couldn't wait to stuff Aiden into my car right that second. Aiden stood in his half-empty bedroom, his expression dazed. You like this house? Is that why you want me to leave? No, I said. I'm taking you with me. Starting today, you're living with me. I painted a picture of the beautiful life we'd have together. Once you move in, you'll see me first thing when you open your eyes every morning. I'll give you a kiss to say good morning, keep you company during breakfast. We'll take walks hand in hand, go to work separately and come home together. I thought Aiden would be happy, but instead, he lowered his eyes in silence. After a long pause, he asked quietly, You're exchanging this life for the East River Project and no divorce. What's the price I have to pay? I froze. A deep aching sadness welled up in my chest. Aiden, all I want is for you to live. Right before we left, I got up to find him. As I turned a corner in the hallway, I heard the butler's voice drifting through. He was nagging in his usual gentle tone. Young master, I think ma'am really likes you. You should show her a little more warmth too. Aiden answered softly. She doesn't like me. She just needs me. She has someone she really loves. I used shameful tactics to force her to stay by my side. The butler went quiet for a few seconds before replying. No matter what, not getting divorced is a good thing. Living together is even better. There's always a chance. Aiden let out a bitter laugh. No one will ever love me. I used to give everything I had and still couldn't get a single word of praise from my parents. And now once we live together and she sees my leg, she'll probably hate me even more. There was a flicker of pain on the butler's face. He looked like he wanted to say something, but before he could, Aiden cut him off. Julian's birthday is coming up. Please help me pick out a gift for him. Price doesn't matter. I've got to go now. Sitting in the back seat of the Bentley, I watched Aiden's reflection in the window as neon lights flickered over his sharp, handsome features. He looked down at a file with an emotionless face, as if the conversation I just overheard was something I'd made up in my head. Children who grow up without understanding how to express their emotions often end up lying to themselves, pretending they want nothing at all. I leaned over and rested my head on Aiden's shoulder, then gently patted the back of his head like I was soothing a little puppy. I figured he probably wasn't used to physical contact. The moment I moved closer, his whole body tensed up. Annoyed, I gave him a light punch. Relax. I'm sleepy. This is your price, I muttered. If you're going to live with me, you'll have to be my human pillow. Aiden didn't respond, but he did relax his muscles. I nestled into a comfortable spot, breathing in the soft woody scent on Aiden's skin, and sleep quickly washed over me. Half asleep, I heard Aiden's low whisper. This is your reward. The car pulled up in front of the villa. I walked ahead of Aiden, excitedly envisioning our future together. We can clear out some space in the walk-in closet, I said. You should put your clothes in the master bedroom too. Aiden listened quietly. The corners of his lips lifted ever so slightly, and in his lowered gaze, I could see a flicker of anticipation. He was clearly in a very good mood. Just then, a figure stepped out from the shadows at the entrance. There you are. Why didn't you answer your phone? Zach Morgan's face wore his usual playful smirk, and his tone toward me was casual, overly familiar even. He gave Aiden a half-hearted greeting, then turned to me. Mind if I borrow Emma for a chat? I turned to look at Aiden and sure enough, the moment Zach appeared, the light in his eyes dimmed again. Without a word, he dragged his suitcase past me with long strides. He moved so fast, I didn't even have time to explain. Meanwhile, Zach wouldn't shut up. Why'd you come back with Aiden? Didn't you say you hated even being in the same room as him? I've already blocked you. I cut in coldly. Don't contact me again. Zach didn't seem to care. You mad at me again? What? Did the paparazzi catch me hanging out with another actress? I'm just having fun with them. I waited for you all day today. I'm not accepting any compensation except for the East River Project files. His words triggered a wave of old memories. My dad was a Novo-Reach businessman who transferred me to a private school after he made his fortune. I was skinny, short, and stammered back then. An easy target. I was nearly bullied, but Zach stepped in and saved me. Ever since, I'd considered him a good friend. For years, aside from Aiden, who in everyone's eyes was part of a loveless business marriage, Zach had been the only man around me. Maybe that's why he always acted so entitled. I looked at him coldly. I don't care who you mess around with. I'm not that invested in your life. Don't flatter yourself. Aiden is my husband. There's no way I'd ever do anything to hurt his interests for your sake. Zach's smirk faltered. Why are you being like this? I thought you hated Aiden and wanted a divorce. That East River deal is nothing to him. It's just a small project. You won't even help me with something that minor. I stared at Zach, suddenly finding his face unfamiliar. In my past life, after Aiden died and left his entire fortune to me, Zach actually proposed to me. What I thought was friendship had only ever been, in his eyes, access to a walking ATM. Zach, I've always been grateful for what you did for me when we were kids. I said. That's why I've done my best to repay you. Even when you wanted to get into showbiz, I used my connections to help you, but you keep trying to drive a wedge between Aiden and me. Let's stop talking. When I stepped inside, Aiden was standing in the living room. His suitcase was next to his leg, untouched. Why didn't you have someone help unpack? I asked. Aiden glanced briefly at the door behind me. I figured I might be moving back out soon. I'm not just friends with Zach, I said. We're not even going to be friends anymore. You don't have to explain, he replied flatly. I won't interfere with your choices. He sounded so disappointed. Would it kill him to just admit it? I walked over and gently hugged him from behind. No, I will explain. I've decided I'm going to use my words. I looked up at him. I don't like Zach. I like a sad little puppy who's pretending not to care right now. He didn't respond, but I asked, can we start unpacking now? Even after I insisted. Aiden still refused to sleep in the master bedroom. That was fine. I had legs. I could walk, so I snuck into his room instead. From the bathroom, I could hear the soft, steady sound of running water. I sat on the edge of the bed, my mind replaying everything the butler had told me that afternoon. Mr. and Mrs. Grant were in a business marriage, he'd said. There was no affection between them at all. After the younger son was born, they practically stopped living together. Each of them had multiple partners on the side. As the sole heirs of their respective families, they placed strict expectations on Aiden. But those expectations were far too harsh for any child. Still, Aiden had always excelled until the accident. Most parents might have felt heartache seeing their child so severely injured, but Mr. and Mrs. Grant decided to have another child instead. I'd listened in silence as the butler told me Aiden's story. All I could think was how absurd and cruel it was. Two parents with a cold, distant marriage somehow bonded over raising their second child, becoming a picture-perfect, happy little family. Meanwhile, Aiden was left as the unwanted outsider. So, when I filed for divorce, he must have felt there was nothing left in this world worth staying for. And that's why even when I reached out to him in this lifetime, he still didn't dare to believe. Didn't dare to hope for happiness. The sound of water stopped. Aiden stepped out of the bathroom wearing a long-sleeve shirt and pants. His damp hair clung slightly to his forehead, water dripping down the bridge of his sharp nose, past his chin, and disappearing into the collar of his shirt. Suddenly, I felt a bit thirsty. When he saw me, his expression shifted to alarm. "What are you doing in here?" "Because husbands and wives should sleep in the same room," I replied, full of righteous confidence. "You have obligations to fulfill." Aiden hesitated, then asked with difficulty, "Can you look down?" My gaze instinctively trailed along his body. Broad shoulders, a trim waist, long legs. I gave a nod. "I'm very satisfied. I only look like a normal person because I'm wearing a prosthetic," he said, his voice filled with shame and pain. His brows were drawn tightly together, eyes rimmed red. "I don't know why you suddenly decided to be kind to me, but once you see the scars, you'll be scared." I wrapped my arms around him tightly. "I won't be. I swear to you." I didn't know why Aiden carried such a heavy psychological burden. He was clearly brilliant and dazzling. But because of this one thing, he lived in pain and self-doubt. I gently pushed him back onto the bed, then straddled his lap. "I don't care," I said. "Even if you were in a wheelchair, I still wouldn't be afraid." I leaned in close, lowered my voice to his ear, and blew a teasing breath across his earlobe. "Because I can move on my own." Clinging to him, I nuzzled into his neck and began softly nibbling like a baby bird pecking rice. His breathing grew heavier, and heat surged from his body. "Wait," Aiden said as if he were making the hardest decision of his life. He reached down and removed his prosthetic. The pants leg hung limp and empty. From the opening, I could see where his leg had been amputated at the midcalf. His voice trembled. "Do you see it?" In that moment, Aiden closed his eyes like a man awaiting judgment from a god. His whole body was taut with fear and longing. The veins on the back of his hands stood out, his lashes fluttering with emotion he couldn't hide. If Snowy thinks it's disgusting, he thought that's okay too. He had imagined the worst again and again. Maybe I'd react the way his brother once did. Cry in terror at the sight of his leg, scream that he was a monster, maybe even vomit, but even that wouldn't surprise him. As he waited, tense and bracing for the worst, he felt something warm and wet land on his skin, followed by a soft, gentle touch. He opened his eyes to see me, a tear streaking down my face, leaning down to press a kiss to his leg. My eyes held nothing but tenderness. "Aiden, does it hurt?" In that instant, something in him finally settled. That kiss on his leg flipped a switch. Suddenly, Aiden's whole demeanor shifted. He became bold, assertive, almost overwhelming. He leaned forward, and his scorching kiss landed first at the corner of my eye, then slowly trailed downward. I was completely dazed from the kissing. When I opened my eyes, I saw Aiden pulling off his shirt. Bathed in moonlight, the view was crystal clear. His chest was lean and toned, his defined abs faintly visible beneath the shadows. I couldn't stop myself from reaching out, just as I expected. His skin felt smooth and warm under my fingertips. "Don't," Aiden said, slightly breathless. "Am I the type to listen and behave? Of course not." I immediately ran my hand over the indent at his waist. A second later, he grabbed my hand and threaded his fingers between mine, holding me tightly. He lowered his eyes, looking at me. His gaze was filled with smoldering heat and restrained desire. "Emma, Emma," he murmured my name over and over, his voice gentle. But his movements quickly became so intense I could barely keep up. "Aiden, let me go. I want to go back to my room. I'm done. How are you still this full of energy? I can't take it anymore." The next morning, I woke up with lips bruised and swollen and my whole body sore. "You're awake," Aiden said, leaning over the bed watching me. He leaned in like he wanted to kiss me again, and I shrank back under the covers in panic. "Try that again and I swear I'll lose it." Men after they've tasted sex are absolutely terrifying. I was completely no match for him. From that day on, Aiden seemed determined to stay glued to me 24/7. He was like a 6 feet 2 inches oversized human-shaped pendant. He took meetings by video call and had all his paperwork delivered to the villa by his assistants. I couldn't take it anymore. "You should go back to the office," I told him. His face fell, lashes lowered, looking heartbreakingly aggrieved. "Don't you want to see me all the time?" I reminded myself over and over, he's pretending to be pitiful. He's faking it. "Fine," I said. "I'll go to the office with you. As long as we leave this house, maybe I won't accidentally end up in bed with you again." In the elevator, I had my mask and hat pulled down tight. Next to me, 2 young women were chatting. There really were Snowy brand products in the Mid-Autumn Festival gift box. I told you someone in the office must be secretly using their purchasing authority to support her brand. I asked around. Those weren't ordered through the usual channels. They were added by the executive office. The executive office? You think the CEO's assistant is a Snowy fan too? Great taste. Listening to them talk, something clicked in my head. My agent had once mentioned that among my fan base, there was a mysterious top supporter. This person had built the entire fan club infrastructure from scratch, and the team's key members were all highly professional. Everyone else had shown their faces before, except for this mysterious superfan. They never joined in-person events or even chatted online. They just provided money and labor silently but constantly. A sudden suspicion flashed through my mind. Could that person be Aiden? Just as I was about to call my agent to ask, he called me instead. The ringtone blared in my ears. "Emma, someone got photos of you. You're trending right now." The top search result was my name, Emma Carter, secretly married. Clicking in, all the posts were bad. The photos had been taken from just the right angles. Our backs were to the camera, but Aiden's distinctive cane was clearly visible. In the comments, paid trolls were stirring up the narrative. "She's just a gold digger who climbed into a rich man's bed. Married a disabled billionaire 20 years older than her. Emma Carter is famous for doing anything to make it big. So disgusting. Blacklist her. Get her out of the industry." The film I was shooting with director Song was clearly intended as an award contender. Every actress had their eyes on the lead role. It was obvious now. One of the rival companies had hired someone to sabotage me. Right now, public opinion had turned completely against me. They were saying I was greedy and fake, nothing like the original character I was cast to play. In Aiden's massive penthouse office, I unpacked the lunch I brought from the chef and calmly reassured my agent over the phone. "Don't worry. If I were scared of pathetic tricks like this, then all my years in this business would have been for nothing." That afternoon, I had a meeting scheduled with director Song. My agent responded with a soft then hesitantly asked, "All these years, I've only known you were married. But what kind of person is your husband exactly? You know, fans nowadays have really high standards for the men their idols date. If you're with someone they don't approve of, they'll unfollow you instantly. Give me a heads up so I can prep a PR plan." I smiled, just about to start bragging when I looked up and saw Aiden had rushed upstairs after ending his meeting early. His phone screen was still open to WBO, so it was clear he'd seen the news. He looked like a defeated puppy. "I'm sorry," he said. "I didn't mean to affect your work. I'll have someone take the post down right away." "Wait," I held his hand. "Why would we take it down? I was planning to announce the marriage anyway." I used to think Aiden looked down on me. Only later did I realize whenever he was with me, he instinctively placed me above everything else. Even after achieving what most people would call ultimate success, fame, power, and wealth, he still had no confidence when it came to me. I gently cupped the side of his face. "Don't worry, my fans will love you because they're just as shallow as I am." A few minutes later, with the internet still buzzing with speculation, I posted a simple Weibo update. Just 4 words. Original photo confirmed. Attached was a picture of Aiden staring straight into the camera. No filters, no moody lighting, just him. Sharp and devastatingly handsome. The comment section exploded. "Is that your husband? Thank God she didn't marry an ugly guy. What a relief. That jawline. Are we sure this isn't photoshopped? I thought they said he was 50. He looks younger than me at 18. So what if he's rich and handsome? He's disabled. Emma's clearly a gold digger. Not exactly positive role model material, says the genius who can't spell. Don't project your broke bitterness here. So you're telling me she sacrificed herself to marry a literal Greek god? Where do I sign up for this kind of sacrifice? Asking for a friend. This face should be illegal. I believe it's love because I just fell in love at first sight." I lounged back in Aiden's arms, scrolling through the comments. Every time I saw a fun one, I pointed it out to him. "Look, my fans really like you. They're all saying, 'You're handsome.' They think we look perfect together." Aiden's smile crept across his lips, obvious. He grabbed my hand as I tried to scroll again. "Can you screenshot those comments for me?" he asked. "I want to send them some gifts. There are way too many compliments for that." I laughed. "You'll never be able to send gifts to all of them." "I'm rich. I'll send them anyway." "Fine," I said, shifting so I was straddling his lap. I looked him straight in the eyes, but on one condition. "I know you've liked me for a long time," I said softly. "But my memory is really bad. Can you tell me everything again from the beginning? In my past life, inside that apartment filled with pieces of our history, I had witnessed Aiden's unwavering love for me. But before I could ask the butler anything, I'd been thrown back in time. This time, I wanted to hear it all from Aiden's own lips. Aiden told me about his childhood. He was lying motionless in a hospital bed, barely conscious. His parents didn't know he'd already woken up, and were in the middle of a vicious argument right at his bedside. They blamed each other for not taking care of him, hurled accusations, and eventually stormed out, leaving him in the care of the butler, Mr. Jiao. Later, he overheard from Mr. Jiao that his parents were planning to have another child, because he was no longer good enough. That night, Aiden forced someone to take him up to the rooftop. He hadn't planned to do anything drastic. He just wanted to sit and look at the moon for a while, but even then it wasn't full. The moon isn't even round yet, he remembered thinking. On the 15th, the stars and the moon will both be out. That's when it'll be beautiful. If I die now, I won't get to see it. That was when he noticed there was a girl sitting in a wheelchair, too, hidden in the shadows. When Aiden didn't respond, the girl kept talking. "You must be new here, huh? You probably haven't heard. Our rehab center food is surprisingly good. And the nurses bring us flowers in the morning. Dying would really be a waste." Aiden found her a little noisy. He wanted to tell her to be quiet but couldn't bring himself to say it. The girl quietly sat next to him, occasionally commenting on the night sky. Maybe, like his mother always said, he really was weak, a person who needed company. "I had an amputation," Aiden said suddenly, watching the girl's reaction with cold precision. If she showed even a trace of pity, he'd tell her to get lost. But she just leaned in, eyes lighting up. "Then you can wear a prosthetic. That's kind of cool, like Iron Man." She grabbed his arm, enthusiastically chatting. "Have you seen the Marvel movies? Who's your favorite hero?" "I started learning to dance when I was really young. Danced for 10 years. I wanted to be a professional dancer. That dream's out the window now." She lowered her voice. "Don't tell anyone, but I actually came up to the rooftop that day to do something stupid. But the wind was so strong, It felt like someone was trying to stop me. Then I realized maybe not being able to dance wasn't the end of the world. I could still lie in the sun, sleep in, eat good food. Her voice trailed off for a moment. It was quiet. Aiden had to admit her words comforted him. But his entire upbringing had taught him never to admit weakness or emotional need. Thanks, he said. His tone was distant and formal. How much do you want? The girl blinked, stunned. Excuse me? Your words were more helpful than anything my therapist ever said, he added. I could probably pay you 5,000 yuan an hour. Aiden glanced at her, not saying everything he was thinking, hoping she'd get the hint. That she'd stay and talk to him a little longer. I'll pay more. The girl stared at him like he'd lost his mind. What? Did the car crash? Scramble your brain. You think I'm charging you to chat? That period of physical therapy ended up being one of the rare times in Aiden's life when he truly relaxed. For once, he didn't have to keep his guard up or be the most exceptional kid in every room. The physical pain was tolerable, especially when Snowy Carter was there every day, chattering nonstop beside him. He had a vague suspicion she was afraid he might commit suicide. That's why she kept showing up so frequently. I brought you an orange, she said one day. It's really delicious. Isn't being alive amazing? Come on, let's go sit in the sun. It's warm and free. Why do you always wear a mask? She asked. You're actually really good looking. But it was because he still couldn't accept his disability, not even internally. Every time he saw his reflection by accident, it would pull him back to the moment of the crash. He needed time to accept it. He also wanted all of Snowy's time. But she was like a little sun, bright, warm, and beloved by every patient in the rehab center. Wherever she went, there was always a string of younger patients trailing behind her. He was never special to her. But at least Snowy needed him sometimes, like when she was pulling her hair out over math homework. When he offered to help, she brushed him off without hesitation. No thanks. Kids who grow up overseas are all bad at math. To prove he was still Chinese, Aiden explained that problem to her 3 different ways. You can ask me anything from now on, he said. He tried to sound calm, but he was so happy he nearly laughed out loud. But there was no from now on. That afternoon, his mother's flight landed. She swiftly completed the discharge paperwork and forced him to return to the UK. He didn't even get a chance to say a proper goodbye. After that, the oranges stopped coming. No one reminded him that the sky was beautiful tonight, that looking at it could make someone feel lucky. He was sent to one of the top boarding schools in England. He learned to go to the rooftop alone to watch the stars. And whenever he missed her too much, he'd take a 12-hour flight from London just to see her again. He had wanted to show off his prosthetic a little, maybe just casually. But then he saw me holding another guy's hand. I'm Zach's girlfriend, I said. Aiden walked away completely devastated. Because of that, he missed what happened next. As soon as the girl who had confessed her feelings left, I quickly let go of Zach's hand, clearly annoyed. Don't ask me to do this again, I said. Covering for you every time wastes my time. Come on. I've helped you dodge plenty of unwanted suitors, too. And now you act like I'm not good enough for you. I'm the most popular guy on campus, every girl's dream. I rolled my eyes in disdain. Exactly the kind of playboy I don't want. You're not my type at all. I mean, where are you going to find a guy who only loves you and will always love you? Just because you're not capable of that doesn't mean others aren't. I didn't bother explaining further and walked away. But the whole way, I felt uneasy, like I had missed something important. It didn't matter though. If someone was truly important, they'd find a way to come back into your life. After Aiden and I went public with our marriage, his alt account got exposed. It started with a fan posting on Weibo. Hey fellow fans, can someone confirm if this handsome guy I saw at an offline event is really our brother-in-law? They attached a few blurry paparazzi-style photos. The man in the images wore a mask and stayed tucked away in the corner, bundled up in a way that made him hard to recognize. But his presence was undeniable. I saw this guy too. Another fan chimed in. I secretly took a pic. He never pulled out his phone to film anything. Just stared at Emma like she was the only person in the room. Help. This is peak obsessive loner energy. We might be saved. Oh my God. Is this one of those stories where the stalker fan ends up marrying the celebrity? This is fanfiction IRL. I love it. As more fans joined the conversation, someone finally dug up Aiden's old fan account. The entire feed was overflowing with gushy compliments and fangirling posts about me. Turns out this was the same cold-faced CEO who at international finance summits looked dead serious in public. But behind the scenes he was on Weibo posting comments like, "My wife is so pretty. I want to love my wife for a whole lifetime. Wife supremacy forever." One fan wrote, "Please save a little sadness for us single people." Another said, "OMG, I talked to brother-in-law once in DMs and I blocked him." Apparently, one fan, a hardcore Emma stan, used to post tons of emotional love letters and short stories online. One day they suddenly got a message from Aiden. "Hi, I'm Emma's one and only real husband. Please stop calling her your wife." They replied with, "Where did this elementary schooler come from? You done with your summer homework yet? Go back to prepping for middle school." Judging by the date, this happened the very day Aiden and I got our marriage certificate. The poor guy was just trying to assert his presence only to get flamed and blocked. That viral post got pushed to my homepage. Right then, Aiden arrived to pick me up from work. The moment I saw him, I couldn't hold in my laughter. "What's got you so happy?" he asked, slightly jealous. "Who made you laugh like that while I wasn't around?" "No one but you," I said sweetly, wrapping my arms around him and planting a kiss on his cheek. "Only you make me this happy." Aiden was insecure. He always seemed to doubt that I actually loved him. So, I constantly told him over-the-top dramatic declarations of just how much I adored him. And it worked. Even something that childish could leave him completely flustered and smiling like a fool. "Let's take a different road today," I suggested. "Someplace new." "I'll drive," I offered before he could. I didn't even need GPS. I pulled up outside the same neighborhood, the one the butler had taken me to in my past life. Inside that hidden apartment was a shrine of sorts filled with everything Aiden had ever collected about me. I thought I was about to surprise him, but the moment we parked, Aiden, sitting beside me in the passenger seat, looked visibly flustered. He even apologized to me. How did you know about this place? Have you been inside? Do you think I'm a creep?" "I'm sorry. I won't do it again." "Really?" I said, pretending to be serious, trying to scare him. "I think you're just going to find another secret base, collect even more of my things, and be extra careful so I don't find out." Aiden was completely exposed by my blunt honesty. "I actually really like it," I said. "Maybe I'm a little messed up too. I like how intensely, how fearlessly you love me. You were the first person in my life who ever shouted for me, who stood on my side no matter what. Being wanted like that, being needed, being cherished, it makes me obsessed. Aiden, let's have a real wedding." That night, he was unusually excited, like he wanted to melt me into pieces and absorb every bit of me. Eventually, I couldn't take it anymore. "Aiden," I said breathlessly, "I still have some old photos of me when I was little. If you get your hands on those, your little snowy museum will be even more complete. You want them?" His eyes lit up instantly, his face full of desire. "I want everything about you. Everything." I kept his face in my hands. "Then if you want them, stop moving." The wedding wasn't grand. There were no reporters, no red carpet, no carefully curated PR event. Just a garden filled with blooming hydrangeas, soft piano music, a few close friends, and Aiden standing beneath the arch, looking at me like I was the center of his entire universe. I wore the same dress from the oil painting he once kept hidden in that apartment. I hadn't known back then, but he had painted it from imagination down to the smallest detail. This time I made it real. When we exchanged vows, his hands trembled and his voice cracked ever so slightly. "I used to think I wasn't worthy of happiness," he said. "But you make me want to live every single day." I smiled through my tears. "Then stay alive. That's all I ever wanted from you." We kissed, and I knew this wasn't the beginning of a perfect life. We would still argue. I would still be stubborn. He would still overthink. But it was real. It was us. Aiden Grant, the boy who once learned to watch the stars alone from a rooftop, no longer had to look at the night sky by himself. Now we watched it together. Every full moon, every cloudy night. And every time he looked at me like I was a miracle he still didn't quite believe he'd earned, I would remind him, "You are loved completely always." And he'd smile, not just with his mouth, but with his whole soul. That was our forever. Quiet, imperfect, a little messy, but fully ours.